Aharon Appelfeld, currently 80 years old, was born on February 16, 1832, in a small town called Czernowitz, Romania. Appelfeld grew up and lived during a horrible time in history, which is World War II. He had to endure the life struggle of being a Jew during the Holocaust. He spent most of his childhood hiding from the Romanian army and fending for himself. In 1941, when Appelfeld was only 8 years old, the Nazi-allied Romanian army invaded his hometown and murdered his mother. He was then deported with his father to a German concentration camp. During that time, Appelfeld witnessed many children, adults, and elders fall to their deathbeds due to starvation or murder from the Nazi soldiers. Finally, Appelfeld had enough. He escaped and hid in the nearby forest for 3 years. Portraying himself as a German orphan, he moved in with a German peasant named Maria. Within that year, he lived with her. He tended to her every need by cooking, cleaning, and caring for her. Maria would often yell at Appelfeld and beat him, giving him no mercy. Thus, Appelfeld ran away and found a blind peasant to work for. The blind peasant also was like Maria. He would often curse and yell at Appelfeld. After living in the forest for 3 years, he tried to join the Soviet army. Since he was thin and weak, he didn't make it as a soldier who could go into combat. He ended up being a cook for the army. After the war, he spent several months in a displaced persons camp in Italy for Jewish survivors. In 1950, Appelfeld had realized that his father had also survived the war. Their reunion was so emotional to Appelfeld. He was never able to write about it in any of his novels. To make up for Appelfeld's lack of education, he moved to Israel after the war to attend the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. There he learned Hebrew and the formal way of writing. Today he lives in Mesre Zion and teaches literature at Ben-Gurion University of the Negev. Appelfeld wrote all of his novels in Hebrew, the language that he learned during the war as a teenager, with the subject of all of his novels being about the Holocaust and the suffering of the Jews in Europe. He thought writing in his mother tongue German would be inappropriate. Most of Appelfeld's novels are written in the genre of fiction, with the exception of The Story of a Life, which is an autobiography of his life during World War II. One of Appelfeld's novels, Tizzlee, was about a little girl who felt abandoned and neglected when her family left her to fend for herself when the Nazi army was invading their hometown. She managed to escape and hid in the forest for 3 years until World War II was over. She searched for German peasants to work for. She first worked for a peasant named Katerina, who was quite moody and very bossy. Whatever Tizzlee did wasn't good enough. Tizzlee finally ran away from Katerina and found work with an old peasant couple. The old woman would often beat Tizzlee to rid her from her sins. The beatings kept getting worse, which led Tizzlee to run away. Tizzlee then found shelter with an old Jewish man named Mark. Tizzlee and Mark lived together for at least a year. They fell in love with each other and Tizzlee became pregnant. Then, one day, Mark went missing, which caused Tizzlee to uproot herself from her and Mark's safe hiding place. She found a group of Jews who were also hiding in the forest that had escaped concentration and labor camps. She lived with them up until the day that she had to go to the hospital to give birth. During her stay at the hospital, she had lost her unborn baby and was deported to a displaced persons camp. Silence, muteness, and stuttering are recurring motifs in all of his writing. Appelfeld's fiction on the Holocaust has received worldwide recognition and awards. His writings have also been translated in 25 different languages. Some of Appelfeld's writings include Bad Heman 1939, The Age of Wonders, Tizzlee, The Retreat, To the Land of the Cattails, The Immortal Bartfuss, For Every Sin, The Healer Katerina, Iron Tracks, Unto the Soul, The Conversion, Laish, Beyond Despair, 3 Literatures and a Conversation with Philip Roth, The Story of a Life, A Table for One, Under the Light of Jerusalem, All Whom I Have Loved, Blooms of the Darkness, Until the Dawn's Light, and Suddenly Loved. Some of Appelfeld's awards include the National Jewish Book Award, in which he won in 1979, the Israel Prize in 1983, the Nellie Sachs Prize in 2005, and the Independent Foreign Fiction Prize in 2012. Aharon Appelfeld wrote mainly about the events that had taken place during World War II and what had happened in concentration or labor camps. He also wrote about the lives of Jews and how families were infected during the war. Appelfeld's purpose for writing was to show the world how badly others were treated for no reason. He wanted other people to understand what the lives of Jewish families were like during World War II. Appelfeld was forced to see terrible things at a very young age, which made him fall silent and stutter when he was obligated to talk. In fact, Appelfeld expresses these feelings within most of his novels, as they are recurring motifs. All of Appelfeld's books leave behind a deep and meaningful impression on the reader. One will fall silent and feel Appelfeld's pain while reading his books. Aharon Appelfeld had to struggle to survive during the war, and even after the war, he is still struggling to survive with the trauma from events that he had witnessed as a child and a young adult. Appelfeld expressed the truth behind World War II.